Imagine your team just shipped a brilliant new AI feature, a chat assistant that summarizes support tickets. But here is the problem. The developer hard-coded AWS access keys right into the pod. There is no VPC endpoint, so every inference call crosses the public internet. There is no guardrail, so one clever prompt injection leaks customer data. And there is no rate limiting, so a single runaway loop racks up thousands of dollars in token charges overnight. This is what happens when GenAI meets Kubernetes without architecture. Today, we are going to fix all of that. Welcome to Amazon Bedrock on EKS, the GenAI Microservices Masterclass. Here is what we will cover. Before we dive into architecture, let us understand what Amazon Bedrock actually is. Think of Bedrock as a managed buffet of foundation models. Instead of hosting, scaling, and patching your own GPU clusters, you simply call an API, and Bedrock handles the inference infrastructure behind the scenes. It offers models from Anthropic, like Claude, Amazon's own Nova family, Meta's Llama, Mistral, Cohere, and more. You get chat completion, summarization, classification, code generation, embeddings for vector search, and even image generation. The key insight: Bedrock is a fully managed service. There are no instances to provision, no model weights to download, no GPUs to manage. You pay per token, input tokens and output tokens, and AWS handles availability, scaling, and security of the inference endpoint. For EKS teams, this is a game changer. Your microservices stay lightweight. They just make SDK calls, while the heavy AI compute lives entirely in AWS managed plane. Now let us build the reference architecture from the ground up. At the top, you have users and APIs sending requests into your cluster. These hit an ingress layer, could be an ALB, an API gateway, or a service mesh like Istio. The ingress routes traffic to your EKS microservices. These are your chat service, your summarization service, your extraction service, whatever GenAI workloads you are running. Each microservice uses the AWS SDK, typically Boto 3 for Python or the Go SDK, to call the Bedrock Runtime API. But here is the critical piece: credentials. Your pods never store static AWS keys. Instead, they use EKS pod identity, or IRSA for older clusters, to get short-lived, temporary credentials. The SDK call travels through a VPC interface endpoint for Bedrock, meaning the traffic never touches the public internet. On the Bedrock side, you have the foundation models, the Converse API for multi-turn chat, InvokeModel for single-shot inference, embeddings models, and guardrails for content safety. Optionally, you connect Bedrock knowledge bases for RAG. These pull from S3 documents and vector stores to ground your answers in real data. And wrapping everything: CloudWatch for metrics, CloudTrail for audit logs, and KMS for encryption at rest. There are 4 main patterns for integrating Bedrock with your EKS microservices. Let us walk through each one. Pattern A is direct inference, the simplest and most common. A user request hits your API. Your service authenticates the user, builds a prompt, maybe from a template, and calls Bedrock using the Converse API. The model returns a response. Your service validates the output schema and sends back a clean result. Think of it like ordering from a restaurant menu. You tell the chef exactly what you want, and the kitchen delivers it. Pattern B is RAG, retrieval augmented generation. This is for when your AI needs to answer questions grounded in your own data. Documents live in S3. A pipeline chunks them, generates embeddings using Bedrock's Titan embeddings model, and stores vectors in OpenSearch serverless. At query time, the service retrieves relevant chunks, sends them as context alongside the user question to the foundation model, and the answer comes back with citations. It is like giving a student an open book exam. They read the relevant pages before answering. Pattern C is async GenAI, for heavy or non-urgent work. Your service writes a job to SQS or EventBridge. A worker pod picks it up, calls Bedrock, and stores the result in DynamoDB or S3. The client pulls or gets a callback. Think of it like dropping off dry cleaning. You submit the job and pick it up later. And Pattern D, Bedrock Knowledge Bases, is a managed RAG layer. Less custom code, faster to stand up, but less flexibility than building your own. Now let us talk about the identity layer, because this is where most teams get it wrong. The golden rule? Never put AWS access keys inside a Kubernetes pod. Ever. Instead, use EKS pod identity. Here's how it works. Your pod starts with a Kubernetes service account. EKS sees the pod identity association you configured that maps this service account to a specific IAM role. The EKS auth service assumes that role using the pod identity agent daemon set running on every worker node. Temporary credentials, they expire in about an hour, are injected into the pod. The AWS SDK picks them up automatically. No static keys, no secrets mounted, no rotation headaches. Think of it like a corporate badge system. You do not carry the master key. You get a temporary badge that opens only the doors you need, and it expires at the end of the day. For IAM design, split your roles by responsibility. Role 1, Runtime Inference, gets only Bedrock InvokeModel and Converse permissions. Role 2, the Retrieval Pipeline, adds S3 read and vector store access. Role 3, Admin, gets model management, guardrail setup, and CloudTrail. One role per microservice, one service account per role. Restrict by namespace, restrict by cluster tag. This is the principle. Security does not stop at identity. Networking matters just as much. In a production setup, your EKS nodes sit in private subnets. No public IP, no direct internet access. So how do your pods reach Bedrock? Through VPC interface endpoints. An interface endpoint creates an elastic network interface, an ENI, inside your VPC, powered by AWS PrivateLink. When your pod calls the Bedrock API, the traffic stays entirely within the AWS network. It never crosses the public internet. Think of it like an internal hallway connecting two buildings. You never step outside. You will typically need endpoints for Bedrock runtime. That is for inference calls, plus STS for credential exchange, ECR for pulling container images, CloudWatch logs for shipping metrics, S3 for document access, and KMS for encryption operations. Security groups on these endpoints should allow inbound HTTPS, port 443, only from your pod security groups. And Kubernetes network policies should enforce denial egress by default, then allow only the specific endpoints each service needs. This creates a zero-trust network posture where every connection is explicitly permitted. Let us zoom into the API layer, because choosing the right API matters. Bedrock offers two main inference APIs, InvokeModel and Converse. InvokeModel is the raw, direct call. You send a JSON payload specific to each model provider. If you switch from Claude to Llama, you rewrite your payload format. Converse, on the other hand, is a unified API. It uses a standard message format, system prompt, user turns, assistant turns, that works across all supported models. Switch providers? Just change the model ID. Your code stays the same. Think of Converse as a universal translator between your app and any foundation model. Converse also manages multi-turn conversation context automatically. For streaming, you use Converse Stream, which returns response chunks as they generate. This means your users see words appearing in real time, dramatically improving perceived latency. And here is a powerful feature. Guardrails integrate directly into Converse. You pass a guardrail configuration with your API call, including the guardrail ID and version, and Bedrock automatically filters both the input prompt and the output response. With Converse Stream, you can even choose whether guardrail assessment happens synchronously, blocking until assessment completes, or asynchronously, streaming chunks immediately while guardrails evaluate in parallel. Now let us deep dive into building a production RAG pipeline on EKS. RAG has two phases, ingestion and retrieval. Let us start with ingestion. Your raw documents, PDFs, wiki exports, runbooks, API docs, live in S3. An ingestion worker running as a cron job on EKS picks them up. First, it normalizes content to clean text. Then comes chunking, and this is where many teams go wrong. Do not just split on fixed character counts. Chunk by semantic boundaries, headings, paragraphs, sections. Preserve the title and source URI in metadata. Overlap chunks slightly, around 50 to 100 tokens, to maintain context continuity across boundaries. Next, the worker generates embeddings. Amazon Titan Text Embeddings v2 produces 1024-dimensional vectors by default. For cost efficiency, you can use binary embeddings, reducing memory by up to 32 times with minimal quality loss. These vectors go into OpenSearch serverless as your vector store. Now, at retrieval time, a user asks a question. Your query service generates an embedding for the question, runs a k-nearest neighbor search against the vector index, retrieves the top 5 to 10 relevant chunks, applies metadata filters, tenant ID, security label, freshness, and optionally re-ranks the results. The filtered chunks become the context window for the foundation model. The service builds a prompt, system instructions plus retrieve context plus the user question, sends it to Bedrock, and the model generates a grounded answer with source citations. Guardrails are your safety net, and in production, they are non-negotiable. Amazon Bedrock guardrails sit between your application and the model response path. They can block disallowed content, like hate speech or explicit material. They detect and redact sensitive information, PII, credentials, internal IDs. They enforce topical boundaries, preventing your customer support bot from giving medical advice. And they defend against prompt injection, where a malicious user tries to hijack the model's behavior through crafted input. But here is the critical design point most teams miss. Guardrails are not a replacement for application authorization. If a user should not see certain data, your application must block that before retrieval and before prompting, not rely on the model to filter it. Think of guardrails like a security checkpoint at an airport. They catch contraband, but they do not check whether you have a valid ticket. That is your application's job. In your microservice, layer these controls. Input validation first, then prompt templating to prevent free-form injection, then guardrails on the API call, then output schema validation on the response, and finally, rate limiting and max token caps to prevent runaway costs. You cannot optimize what you cannot measure. For observability, instrument 5 critical dimensions. First, application metrics. Track request rate, P95 and P99 latency, and error rate. Second, model metrics. Log inference latency, input and output token counts, model ID, retry attempts, and throttle events. Third, retrieval metrics. Monitor recall quality proxies, top K hit distribution, and the empty retrieval rate. That is how often your vector search returns 0 relevant chunks. Fourth, infrastructure. CPU, memory, pod restarts, node pressure. And fifth, security events. Denied API calls, unusual token spikes, egress anomalies, and guardrail trigger rates. For logging, and this is crucial, never log raw prompts or responses blindly. They may contain customer PI or regulated data. Log a correlation ID, a user surrogate ID, the model ID, prompt template version, retrieval source IDs, and latency numbers. Now cost. The biggest drivers are inference tokens and embedding volume. For optimization, first, choose the smallest model that meets your quality bar. Claude 3.5 Sonnet costs $6 per million input tokens, while Amazon Nova Micro is roughly 23 times cheaper. Use prompt caching. It cuts costs by up to 90% for repeated prefixes. Use batch inference for offline jobs, 50% cheaper than on-demand. Trim retrieval context aggressively. Send only the chunks that matter. Let us bring everything together into a production blueprint. At the minimum secure baseline, you need EKS running in private subnets, pod identity for all workloads, least privilege IAM roles per service, Bedrock access exclusively through VPC endpoints, CloudTrail enabled for every API call, KMS encryption for all stored data, S3, logs, queues, vector stores, centralized metrics and logs, prompt and output validation, guardrails on every inference call, and separate roles for ingestion versus inference. That is your day one baseline. For a mature platform, the kind built for teams of 50-plus engineers, add an internal GenAI gateway service. This is a single entry point that all teams use. It handles authentication, rate limiting, model routing, and cost allocation. Add a central prompt and template registry, version controlled in Git. Maintain an approved model catalog, so teams cannot use unapproved models without review. Build a policy engine for data classification and routing. Sensitive queries go through stricter guardrails. Implement fallback model logic and circuit breakers. If Claude is throttled, automatically fall back to Nova. And run red team exercises. Actively test your system for prompt injection and data exfiltration. Let us recap the mental model. Your EKS microservices sit in private subnets, authenticated through pod identity, no static keys, ever. They reach Bedrock through VPC endpoints. Traffic stays private. The Converse API gives you a unified interface across all foundation models. RAG grounds your answers in real data through embeddings and vector search. Guardrails filter content, but your app handles authorization. Observability covers 5 dimensions: application, model, retrieval, infrastructure, and security. And cost control comes from smart model selection, prompt caching, batch processing, and aggressive context trimming. The key takeaway? GenAI on Kubernetes is not just about calling an API. It is about building the secure, observable, cost-efficient architecture around it. Get the plumbing right: identity, networking, guardrails, observability, and the AI features become a natural extension of your microservices platform. That wraps up our deep dive into Amazon Bedrock on EKS. If you found this valuable, hit subscribe and drop your questions in the comments. Thank you for watching.